Okay. I think we are live here, USCFootball.com live TV. We're trying out our new software again. Hopefully it works a little bit better this week. We got Facebook comments that'll be showing up on the screen. I'm your host, Ryan Abraham, publisher of USCFootball.com. We try to do this show every week. Doing it on Wednesday. Shotgun's going to be out of town. Speaking of, let's introduce you to the team.
The team.
We got everybody here. So we got Keely as my name.
Hello.
Keely Eure.
That is my name.
What's up, Keely?
Nothing much.
Doing all right?
Doing pretty good.
Follow her on Twitter at Keely is my name, and you can follow our buddy Shotgun Spratling at Shotgun SBR. What is up, Shotgun?
Nothing much. Definitely go home and pack after this, which is an awful undertaking in and of itself. But it should be a fun weekend, actually, for me. While you guys get stuck here, I'm going to be on the East Coast having fun.
Shotgun's a little subdued today.
He is. Because he has a healthy smoothie today instead of a chemical energy drink that he usually has.
It's my wake-up juice. I have no wake-up juice.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Subdued.
Nice. So just to let you guys know what we do if this is your first time here. It's an interactive show on Facebook Live. Today we're going to talk, reluctantly, we're going to talk a little bit of basketball. I'll give Shotgun like 3 minutes maybe. And then we're going to talk spring football. USC's on spring break this week. Shotgun was at USC's NIT opening round game last night that went to double OT. So maybe that's why he's a little underwear there and tired. If you have any questions or comments, put them in our little Facebook Live chat. We'll be able to actually display those comments today. At least that's the plan, so we can show up on the screen. And we'll go through. We usually go through, answer all of your questions. Go for about an hour or so. Hit the like button. We like those. Hit the love, whatever you want to do. Share it with your friends. We do appreciate any kind of comments and questions and stuff you have. Are you guys hearing us okay? What are they saying, Keely?
So James says we sound great.
Sweet.
Thanks,
Hopefully don't have a delay. It sounded like a
Hopefully
1960s
not.
kung fu movie last week with the whole like. So
Hopefully we're good.
yeah, you guys probably don't get that reference, but they used to watch stuff.
Yes.
I'm just saying that's like way before your time.
But it's still a cultural reference that we understand.
Oh yeah.
Right?
People barely understand it still.
Really?
I would think. I don't think it's going to be too much longer.
But
There's not many just terribly dumb movies unless they're doing it on purpose now.
That's true.
So
Kenny says, "Hurry before Shotgun talks about basketball."
Oh crap! We're probably gonna start off with that. So just to let people know, we got to like clear out. We give Shotgun too much love on the Twitter feed. We leave it up there. I just forget to take it down. We leave it up there a long time. So what I'll actually put our Facebook Live stuff up. So this was the first comment we got. So it's working, yay! So Tom said before we went live, it should be good after UCLA losing last night. Talking some hoops and stuff. Real quick, I went on the Audible. Our buddy Bruce and Stu from Bruce with the Athletic and Stu with the Athletic and Bruce with Sports Illustrated, but went on their show. And Keely, they mentioned you because they were talking about the end of that got everything.
now somebody's awake.
Not expecting that.
I actually talked a little basketball with Stu because I don't know a whole lot of basketball, but we talked about USC and all that kind of stuff, what was going on, and he had asked about the history of USCFootball.com and how old you were, like when you were born, because I started in 1996. I'm like, I think she was born just a little before that. You were like
1995.
Yeah, okay.
So a year before.
Yeah. So anyway, they mentioned you. They brought you up.
Wow.
So yeah, just but that was nice. Anything else exciting going on before we jump into?
Not really.
No.
St. Patty's Day on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be
It's Pie Day today.
potentially in Savannah then, which Savannah's a big
My dad was born in
St.
Savannah.
Patty's
Fun
Day
fact.
city, so they go hard there. I'm gonna try to actually avoid the rabble rousers out there.
Really? We still have Tom's comment up, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can take it down.
Tom getting some
Well, we can
over.
switch some.
Ken says get to the point. Ken wants us to
You want to put it up
speed
there?
it
or
up.
no?
Yeah, I'll put it up.
But what is this point, Ken?
Okay, let's
is the
talk.
question.
Okay, I reductantly going to talk a little bit of hoops. I had this tweet ready about how USC basketball, you can only look at this season as, you were able to take it down.
What'd I do?
I don't know what you did, but you took it down.
Oh, I did? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We're
So you
figuring
can
this
control it all. Awesome now, Keely. I love it.
Nice.
Ready that this, USC was a top 10 team preseason, AP, right? No way to look at this season, the utter disaster. Winning the first round of the NIT, I don't know if that mitigates the fact that it's not a disaster anymore. It probably still is when you look at it. But what do you think, Shotgun, about the season and then USC being able to advance in double overtime?
I mean, if you look at it just in preseason rankings versus where they finish, obviously it's not a very good season. However, you look at all the circumstances and you kind of understand. I mean, not getting to the NCAA tournament was kind of a joke. I mean, pretty much I think everyone agrees that if you finish second, that's better than ninth. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe my math was bad. I mean, I'm from Georgia, so you never know. But I think second's better than ninth. And according to the NCAA selection committee, 2 games in December are more important than a 30-game conference schedule. So apparently USC will have to win a game or 2 in December going in the future rather than evolving as a team and getting better, even though they had several off-court distractions. They basically thought they were going to get D'Anthony Melton back like 4 different times this season. And instead, each time it was like, oh, no, we're going to wait a couple more days. And then eventually, when he was actually supposed to come back, they thought, they heard they were getting him back. That was the day they found, the school found some more information, apparently, and said, you know what, I don't think he can play at all. And so that was like right before the Princeton game. They thought they were going to get him back. Instead, they lose him. They had, I think, 4 players out that game. They lose him to Princeton, and everybody's like, okay, this season's over. To give them a little bit of credit, they came back. They went to Hawaii, played some good teams out in Hawaii. You kind of wonder what happens if USC ends up playing in Miami in that tournament. Miami was supposed to be the other team in the championship game. Miami lost early to, I believe, New Mexico State. If USC beats Miami versus New Mexico State in the championship game, does that change the committee's views? Does the buzzer beater at Stanford change the committee's views if that clanks off the back rim and USC wins at the buzzer rather than losing? There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts in this season, and it's unfortunate that USC ends up in the NIT tournament with the core group of guys that are the older guys that are probably going to be gone next year, or at least the top 3 guys. Which Chimezie Metu is pretty much already declared himself for the draft without declaring for the draft by sitting out for the NIT to focus, and to avoid injury for the NBA draft. And I know a lot of you have been upset with Chimezie and my Twitter mentions and stuff. But look at it from his point of view. What does he gain from playing more games in the NIT? Can anybody name the NIT winner last year? Maybe ever. Anybody have an NIT winner ever?
Stanford won one year. I remember that, like 20 years ago. Anybody
have a clue who won last year? If you know, without looking up, if you know, throw it in our comments. I'll give you the answer here in a minute. But it's a tournament that doesn't matter. There's a couple opportunities where maybe Chimezie goes up against an NBA guy that could, there's going to be GMs watching. Maybe that's going to happen later in the tournament. It's not going to happen against UNC Asheville for sure. And he sat there and watched his roommate, one of his good friends, Benny Boatwright, go through multiple injuries over the last couple of years. That's got to play in the back of his mind as well. It's like, I could be one jump and land awkwardly on somebody else's foot or something, roll or sprain or break an ankle, and it changes his draft stock. And give this guy credit. As Andy Enfield said after the game, he hasn't missed a practice in his 3 years. He hadn't missed a game before last night. He is going to graduate in 3 years with like a 3.1. A really smart student. He's taking care of everything on the off the court, and people are giving him a hard time because he's not playing in a meaningless game. Now, you look at the other side and look at Jordan McLaughlin, a guy who willed his team to win last night, and that shows you the leadership and the character of a guy like Jordan McLaughlin. But Jordan McLaughlin doesn't have the same NBA ceiling that Chimezie Metu has. There's a little bit different. Jordan McLaughlin's probably going to get a shot in the G League. I've talked to a couple scouts throughout the year, and they really like him. They don't like his size. He's 6'1". He's a small guy. You watch the games. He drives the lane a lot, and he can create his own shot. He gets blocked a lot as well. So there's the things that once you get in the NBA, some of those shots where he's floating over, a 6'4" guy is getting blocked by a 6'7", 6'8" guy.
Yeah.
So he's going to get a shot probably in the G League, and maybe he earns his way up there. Just because I followed Georgia basketball, I had a teammate there, a guy like Sunday out of Gaines, which is a guy that I would not assume that many people on this would know, but a guy out of Georgia that was a point guard that got a cup of coffee in the NBA. He played a couple years in the NBA, and that was a good career for him. And he probably went overseas and played, and if Jordan McLaughlin so chooses, he will have overseas opportunities for sure. And another guy like Elijah Stewart, he's a fringe guy as well. Maybe he gets, a training camp invite and maybe he ends up overseas as well. So those guys, their careers coming to an end. They wanted to play, and I think it's great for them to actually win a game on the Galen Center court rather than finishing with that UCLA loss where they had the lead and kind of blew it. So, they'll have 2 more opportunities to play at Galen Center if they win next Monday at 8:30 p.m. What a great start time there for everyone to get out. I mean, there's 1,600 people in attendance yesterday. I don't expect there even to be that many. Well, no, actually, I'll take that back.
Spring break will be over, right?
Next week, yeah, spring break will be over. If students pay any attention, maybe they'll be like, oh, there's a game. We can, if they don't have classes in the morning Tuesday, we can go drink and go to the game, have a good time, whatever. Hopefully, the student section comes out a little bit after kind of being disappointing, even for the UCLA game. The only area of the stadium that was the arena that was unfilled was the upper part of the student section. So,
wow,
they have some work to do. And Chimezie, I know he went on a rant yesterday on Twitter. I didn't see it initially. I saw the screenshots later since he deleted them. But he said, basically, for all you quote-unquote fans out there, thanks for showing up, for one, because, oh, wait, you didn't show up. And now they're all complaining about him not playing. Why are they not, voice your complaints at a game? Why don't you come to a game and then voice them? I'm getting a lot of Twitter mentions from people I assume that have not come to games from the way that they have interacted with me in the past. So I thought last night's game was terrific. It was a great game after the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was pretty bad basketball. USC was pretty sluggish throughout the game, on defense in particular. But when the game was on the line, they stepped up. They were down 2 possessions in the final 3.5 minutes in both regulation and the first overtime. And that has not been something USC's been real good with this year. Last year, really good at coming back. This year, it hasn't been the case. But last night, Jordan McLaughlin basically wouldn't let him lose.
Yeah.
He made some big-time baskets. He tied the game both in regulation and overtime with a step-back three-pointer. And then the shot he made with, I believe, 36 seconds left in the double overtime. A one-footed floater.
It was like Papa Shot or something.
From like 18 feet. Like he's like a step inside the three-point line. It was a crazy shot. I think it might have touched the rafters on the way up. It was a straight teardrop shot because the defender made it. He was on him, but Jordan McLaughlin made the shot, and then Elijah Stewart, the other senior, hitting 5 straight free throws down the stretch when USC had been awful at free throws throughout the rest of the game.
People are clamoring for football. So.
Okay. Overall, I mean, a good analysis there. Whatever UNC Asheville is, like, they played well in overtime, and USC still played well. Like Shotgun said, that's not something you've seen this USC basketball team do, like step it up in the end, and they did. So hats off to the team. And so they don't play till Monday?
Not till Monday.
Wow, that's weird. But at least the students will be back. So
the thing with last night is
obviously I didn't mean for it to go longer.
But USC had several chances. Had several chances to just kind of be like, all right, it's the NIT. We're devastated from not getting the NCAA tournament 2 days ago. Let's just, whatever. Just give up on it. And they didn't. That shows a lot about the character of the team. And even Chimezie Metu being the guy on the bench that was the most animated. He got a good ab workout last night because he was up and down, popping up and down off the bench more than anybody else. If you watch the USC highlights, notice that Chimezie Metu stands up on every made basket that's in those highlights. He was there for his teammates. Even if he is making a business decision, do you want to risk maybe $1 million, or do you want to play an NIT? That's what you guys need to think about when you're looking at this. Would you risk $1 million to basically go to a party? If you had a big job interview coming up the next morning, would you go to a party with your friends the night before, stay up till 4, maybe you're not in the best condition for that interview? That's basically what he's doing.
All right. Well, I think we should probably move on to some
football.
Now, you guys, before we jump into the questions, I went out of town. I took my wife to New York for the weekend. They moved Saturday's practice up until Friday. I wanted to get your thoughts on the first time putting pads on. Did fans show up because they changed it at the last minute? What was Friday practice like for you guys?
It was relatively chill. I don't think there was a lot of people, more than we've seen Tuesday and Thursday. So people, even though it was a last-minute switch, a lot of people showed up for the practice, which was surprising. But the surprise was Jack Sears not being there, being in Andrew Voorhees' wedding, the groomsman. So that was kind of interesting. And I'm in the background of Clay Helton's presser because the way USC shoots it, that's where I am. And you can see my reaction. I'm like, what? Like Andrew's getting married? So that was pretty crazy. But it did highlight, at least for the spring, how little depth there is at quarterback. You had Matt Fink taking first team reps, and then Thomas Holden,
Holden Thomas.
Holden Thomas, two first names, taking the second team reps, and then that was it. No other quarterbacks were there. So it definitely highlighted how much there. If someone gets injured, at least in spring, there's nowhere to go.
Well, I mean, you talk about Jalen Green, who's
Gone.
graduate transfer. He's gone, so he was an emergency guy. And then the weird thing, I don't know if you guys understand. Thomas Fitz, who was the other, he, they don't have a lot of quarterbacks. He was a walk-on quarterback. They moved him to kicker, where they have they have walk-on kickers, they got scholarship kickers. I think they have all kinds of kickers. They didn't need another kicker, so I don't know why you would take. And if you're Thomas Fitz, like why I could have been the third string guy, like at worst, because there was only 3 dudes.
Yeah,
doesn't make much sense to me. I think the thing that was interesting Friday was how much everybody was. Why is everybody so upset these days? Why was everybody so upset? Like, oh, they're not practicing in the rain.
Yeah, I don't understand Raingate. It was.
No, don't put gate on stuff either. That's annoying to me too. Gee.
What pleases you, Shotgun? Nothing.
Well, okay. What about this? So they did move the practice. Okay, there's fans that are upset. Why would you move it from the rain?
It wasn't solely because of the rain, though.
But it was also a play like the backup quarterback's wedding that day, or not the backup. I mean, one of the offensive linemen's wedding that day. Why would you move practice to a day on someone's wedding too? Do you know what I mean?
Sure, you can't really base your practice schedule off of weddings.
Well, maybe they scheduled the wedding on Friday and then they moved practice. I don't know. I mean,
one of the things Hilton kept saying was there was better numbers, and of course it was spring break, so maybe there were a lot of spring break plans. I mean, there were a lot of people besides Jack Sears and Andrew Voorhees who weren't there on Friday that we didn't really get an answer for. So maybe if they had gone on Saturday, we would have seen even less people there. So I don't know, but he definitely said numbers a lot. So
yeah, which I didn't really understand since there were less numbers there. But the thing with not practicing in the rain, I know it's not the regular season. They're trying to very fine-tune the small details. It's something they've really been harping on is, hey, we're going to do, ball security drills with everybody. We never know if a defensive lineman is going to pick up a ball when he's, on a fumble or something. So they're doing all these small, detail-oriented drills right now. I think that they want to focus on those things rather than trying to switch up their schedule real quick and go into their rain preparation, bad weather preparation practice, and immediately do that. Now, if it's later in the spring, maybe they say, yeah, we want to have this rain. But also there was the recruiting angle. You had players coming in for the opening, Los Angeles, that was down at Costa Mesa that we were at. Ryan was not.
we were.
I was in New York.
That's true.
But anyways, so you had players coming in, and why would you want them to come to a rainy practice? You don't. You have the opening. Los Angeles is one of the best opportunities for USC to have players from out of town come in because they're already coming in for the weekend for this event to get them on campus again and give them an opportunity to check things out. And why not do it when you have a little bit better weather? And then also just the spring break, not only for the players, but I know there's some coaches. They're off in Turks and Caicos and different places.
Yeah.
I'm sure they want to start their spring break too. So I don't think that it's a big deal, and everybody was kind of making it on the board for what seemed like no reason. They still had a practice. They still practiced.
Yeah.
Had a strong practice there. And, the biggest thing for me was actually the guys not being there for the wedding, just because it kind of threw a wrench into things. And, a day when Matt Fink did not have a very good day, Jack Sears could have possibly, put himself ahead of him, at least on this day, and instead he wasn't there for it. And you can't blame those guys because Andrew Voorhees obviously scheduled the wedding, on a Friday on purpose so that he wouldn't miss a practice and then things could change. So
that's what I was saying. So that,
Yeah.
Look at me and Shotgun agreeing on stuff.
We'll try not to.
I get, leaving for spring break early and stuff. It just seemed weird with the schedule they changed. And they also moved one of the other later practices to a Friday too. We didn't really get an explanation for that, but
probably a wedding.
We started talking football and then the numbers went up. So I wonder what.
I wonder what happened. Let's see.
I put it back up there. So we got Ken's get to the point tweet up there.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I was about to put up can I override you?
Yeah.
Sean says. Oh wait, no, not Sean. Sorry, Sean. Oscar says, "Hey Ryan, what was the best and worst parts of covering USC football in the Pete Carroll era?"
The question you didn't pop the. It went down. There you go.
Oh.
There, yeah. Oscar's thing. Hi, Oscar. I don't know. We're learning the controls. It's actually working this week, though. So we can see your picture. We can see what you're saying. The best and worst parts. I mean, it was definitely I mean, it's fun when you're covering a team that's like as fun as that team was. It's great, and they're winning, and everyone's having a good time. You got Will Ferrell coming out to practice. It just wasn't. It wasn't like this Wild West sort of thing, but you had hundreds of people coming to practice. We could roam all around. We could take photos, interview whoever you wanted. It was very open, and a lot of guys I got to become good friends with Lawrence Jackson, who was probably our go-to guy when we would do video interviews and stuff, and we still talk to this day. It was it was this cool open feel, and they were winning. So I think it just was a perfect storm of everything awesome to cover the team. It's not like it's not as open. It's certainly not as open now, but it's still fairly open. We can still do a lot of stuff compared to other programs. But it was just kind of wide open then, and it was working. And I think it helped all the players when they go to the next level. They were all getting interviewed, all the assistant coaches and stuff. You get practice when you're doing it. If you want to interview for a job, you're in college now, the best thing you can do is go on job interviews, because the more you do, the better practice you get. So players getting interviewed, I think it helps them a lot. So I think that was great. I think the worst part was when it got to the point where they would, lose one game to an Oregon State or Stanford or something, and it would kind of derail the national championship. And they would still go to the Rose Bowl and beat the crap out of a Big Ten team, and it wasn't enough for the fans. This now, that would be, the best year ever. But back then, I think people became so used to trying to win the national championship that you did, one slip up and you don't win it, and then the fans were kind of like, it's not a great year, which in retrospect, in the history of USA football, that's a great year. But just after 2004, 2005, it wasn't looked at as great.
Interesting.
People had something to complain about?
Always something to complain about.
Tester Troy's putting in his requests for interviews. He would like Clancy Pendergast and an early enrollee, but Tester Troy, we cannot interview the early enrollees as of now.
Right.
Usually they save them in spring, and then we can kind of talk to them sometime during fall.
That one didn't pop up either, Keely.
I know. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Is it not responding? Or?
Yeah. Hold on. Let's go to a new question, shall we?
We're playing with this.
I know. Okay. Jay.
Damn, Saman actually got the NIT question right.
Yeah.
TCU is actually the team that won last year, for all you people that were wondering.
Nice.
He said just because I looked it up
last
night. Okay, I think I put a new question up.
There
maybe?
It is.
Yep.
Do you see Jay? Jay Fiera?
Hey, Jay, yeah.
He says, do you think Clancy will rotate more players now?
It was up and then it went away.
Oh, really?
No, it's up. It's up now.
Oh, I just looked at it.
Yeah, you guys aren't still. I'll let you know if it's.
We're on a delay. He's not.
Yeah, I'm not, so I can tell you. It's gone now, but if you want to put it back up, then that would be cool.
It's still gone?
It's still gone, yeah. So, Jay, it's still gone. It's still gone.
What? I'm pressing it a million times.
Don't press it again.
I don't know.
Whatever. So Jay says, do you think Clancy will rotate more players now?
I think a little bit more. I don't think it's going to be wholesale changes. That's our kind of theme. Philosophies aren't going to change a whole lot with this coaching staff. So, but I think there'll be a little bit more trust. I think you'll just the makeup of this defense a little bit deeper. I think there's going to be more people in Clancy's circle of trust that'll play a little bit more. Not wholesale changes or anything, but I think a little bit more. What do you think, Shaka?
So talking to some of the players on defense, some of the guys that are those fringe guys that maybe if they rotate more guys would get some playing time. If they don't rotate, they don't get any playing time this year. It sounds like there's coming from above Clancy Pendergast to, hey, we need to rotate some guys more. I think Helton is kind of saying this needs to happen. We need to rotate more guys. And I think the thing is Clancy has an NFL mindset. He's going to play, in the NFL you play basically 13 guys, depending on a package. Maybe you'll use different. You sub in a defensive lineman or two. When you go to nickel, you go to dime, you sub in guys. But basically, you just rotate your packages. You don't rotate just personnel. You don't put in, if you're with the Cardinals, hey, we need to put in somebody for Tyrann Mathieu right now. Or, hey, we need to put in somebody for Patrick Peterson. That doesn't happen. So he's in that mindset. That's just he's been in the NFL many more years than the college game, I believe. So that's just the mindset he comes from. He trusts. It's the guys he trusts. However many guys he trusts, or how many guys he'll play. He said that before to me. He said, if I trusted 18 guys, then I would play 18 guys. So we'll see if guys in those positions that are open at safety and, defensive end and some of those other positions outside linebacker, if there are multiple players that earn that trust and he decides to rotate them, and get multiple guys. You've seen him do that some. You look back at safety in particular with Marvell Tell, Chris Hawkins, Leon McQuay, all three of those guys rotated in at different times that season. So when he trusts the guys who will do that, so we'll see how many guys he actually trusts this year. I mean, at times he said last year, I think on signing day, he said they were traveling like 21 players or something on defense. So there's not many bodies to rotate there. And, they're having some issues with that right now before the freshmen get in because there's some guys that are out with injuries and different things. So, on Friday at the practice, you were missing some linebackers, so you had some guys, some different rotations and things that had to go in there. So we'll see once everybody's healthy and on the field, all the freshmen are in town too.
Testing out this question if it's going to go live.
I think you need to hit the arrow on the right.
I did.
Oh, did you?
Sorry.
Or you select it? There you go. Tester Troy.
Okay, Tester Troy says, "Hey Shotgun, if you had to give Matt Fink a grade from Friday's practice, what would you say? It looked like he was throwing a good ball, but wasn't reading the defense well at all. Love to hear what you think."
The tester must have been there, huh?
So then that's a negative
Tester,
grade.
you didn't say hi to us. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so that's a negative grade. If you're throwing the ball really well, you can Ryan Leaf it all day. But then when you also Ryan Leaf it when those throws end up in turnovers, and so he did not have a good day. He threw a couple interceptions. He threw into the teeth of the defense. One a ball that was not intercepted just kind of got thrown into no man's land, and it should have been intercepted. The defender dropped it, and you're just like, where is he actually throwing it? So I think Dan said there was nobody in the zip code. Is that right?
Yeah, Dan was after one interception. Dan was like, "I have no clue where he was throwing that. There was no one in the zip code there." So it didn't look pretty.
And he had one where he's rolling to his left and he tried to squeeze the throw in with he didn't really get his shoulder squared. So it was a learning day. That's one of those days you chalk it up as a spring practice. He got a ton of reps, and so you chalk it up and say, all right, this is what we learned from this. We move on to the next day. He has a week to think about it. I'm sure he's going to come out and want to prove himself on Tuesday. We'll see what kind of throws he makes then. If he tries to do too much, that would kind of tell you a little bit about the psyche as well. I'm interested in the bounce back versus the bad day itself.
Yeah. Eric.
That's not popping up.
Eric says, okay, I got it. Did I get it?
Nope, they closed it.
Okay,
There you go, Eric.
It's not responsive. Eric says, what's the chance of seeing Keely, Marlin, and Tefele on the D front at the same time? Seems like that would be a force to be reckoned with.
Could be.
Could be.
We're not going to see Marlin in the spring, so we don't really. That's kind of hard to say, but I think all those guys are pretty talented. I think there's a really good chance. What do you think, Shotgun?
You got to get everybody healthy for one.
Yeah.
Tufele he was playing last year the Rasheem Green position. He was backing up him at the defensive end. So you could see those other two guys, defensive tackle, when USC goes with their quote-unquote base front. So it's possible. There's not anything that would hold that back. I think Malik Dorton's actually in front of a couple of those guys right now at the defensive tackle position. I've heard from inside the locker room he's been, kind of taking over a leadership role now.
Yeah.
So I think he, it's a week of spring practice, but he looked pretty good this past week. So I think he's the guy in front of those guys right now, though.
Yeah, I think Malik Dorton is the one to watch for. I heard, too, from other players that, even offensive players, that Malik is a guy who's really been more vocal this season or this spring, which is interesting considering he seems like a quiet guy or a quieter guy. And we've also seen him kind of take a leap this spring as he's been playing well. So definitely someone to watch out for.
Yeah, I think, Eric, it's going to be about health, but also if, Jay Tufele can get into that circle of trust, and then they do use more of a rotation. Maybe there's 5 guys, and those 3 are on the field at the same time at some point.
Let's go to Gary, if it works. Okay, here's the thing. I click it.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Gary says, hi, guys. Are there any concerns about USC's running back depth with Carr's injury? Is there a graduate transfer out there that they may look into?
There's definite concerns. I mean, they had to move Dominic Davis over just to have 2 bodies. I mean, Ruben Peters is playing linebacker, so you don't have him as a body. James Tolan's gone. Corbin Junty's gone. I think Chris Edmondson and the other walk-on running back who I'm blanking on off the top of my head are both injured right now, if I remember correctly. So it's basically been Cedric Ware and Dominic Davis. And Dominic Davis had to switch back. He's looked pretty good, but he always looks pretty good when you don't tackle. So it's when there's tackling involved that he's got to improve. And be able to break some tackles, which is something that he hadn't shown previously in his career. So we'll see as the the spring progresses. If they get Vi Malapai back, that would be big body that they need, and another guy out there to give Cedric Ware a break because he's running a ton of reps right now. Grad transfer.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that,
Yeah.
but I think that's something they would look at.
I mean, they got one last year in Corbin Genty. How'd that work out?
That works.
It works. Is it up?
Yep.
Okay. Kobe says, do you think Levi Jones or Porter Gustin challenge Houston for his starting spot?
Porter Gustin's not going to. He's got his own starting spot.
Yeah.
He said PG. So, oh, no. IE.
Oh, yeah.
EA.
EA.
My bad. Be specific,
EA.
people. You know what happens if you're not specific.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think John Houston played really well at the end of the season. I think that's his spot. He would have to get injured or start playing really poorly to lose that spot, I think, right now. Levi Jones has been moving inside, or is listed as an inside-outside linebacker, so he might be in line for that Sam spot. I think that might be somebody to look at there. If they want a bigger body maybe than Jordan Iosefa, then I think that's a guy that they look at the Sam spot.
I think Jones is going to get involved. I think that's another one of those guys that's going to be included in the circle of trust and will, find field. But yeah, I think the Sam spot's a good. I like that he calls him Vi Jones, Levi.
Yeah.
Just Vi Jones.
But Vi makes me think of a Vi Malapai, so that's why I was like, I'm not saying that one.
Look at Kobe. Look at his picture, man. That's a good-looking dude right there.
Also, the Sam position, you have Olawale Batiku is out. There's a question whether he will even play this year, I've been told.
Wow.
So he may take the red shirt that he didn't get his freshman year. We'll see how that plays out.
That's why they didn't redshirt him. They wanted to wait for his third year to redshirt.
Yeah, for him to have hip surgery.
Good old third year. Okay.
Gary.
Let's go to Gary. What interaction do you see between Neil Callaway and Tim Drevno?
Oh my God, they hate each other. It is crazy. No, I'm just kidding. That's just
Starting rumors, always. It's the worst.
Is this going to be the Tuma rumor over
Tumor
here?
rumor.
Sam Donald. Okay. It's hard. I haven't really seen them interact a ton. Have you been? I haven't really been kind of watching that, but it's not like they're at the hip or anything at practice.
Here's the thing. They're not interacting, which tells you that Tim Drevno's not coming in to take over the offensive line duties immediately, at least. When you see the offensive line working out by themselves, Tim Drevno's nowhere near them.
Yeah.
So the offensive linemen are off in the corner, way away from us. Tim Drevno's usually on the Brian Kennedy field working with running backs.
He'll take the running back, yeah.
Or
the
working with
back.
different things. Working with different things over on the other field. So that was kind of interesting to me. That's one of the biggest things I took away from the opening week, that, hey, he's not coming in to immediately take over at least. So all the people are thinking, with all the run game coordinator duties and what was it, pass protection
coordinator,
like all those titles that he got, that's not necessarily the case. Now, you watch them when they do team stuff, the early, the speed up game that they like to play, the speed ball, I think is what they call it, or fastball, whatever it is, that they do at the beginning of practice just to get tempo. It's both those guys. It's it's T. Martin, and it's Clay Helton. All four of them are yelling different things at different people, but it's not like they're both yelling at the offensive lineman. I said that, I think it was on this show last week, was that pay attention to who's yelling the most. That tells you whether or not Callaway's power has kind of been usurped or given to Drevno. We haven't seen that happen. I think that so far they're at least doing their own duties right now, and they're not. That's why you're not having a ton of interaction there as far as the offensive line, because they're doing their own thing right now.
And Drevno said that if Callaway has use for him, he'll help out. Like, he's more than happy to help out, but right now we're not seeing that. But we are seeing, we still have McCullough's, for some reason they still have McCullough's little contraption.
Yeah.
He has the punching, not punching bag, it's the
boxing glove
on the stick.
Yeah.
He doesn't use it very well. I have video of him kind of missing guys. But he is trying. He's still trying to do those Dylan stuff, and he did say in his original presser that he thought that what Dylan did is good, and he's just going to try and add on to that. So that's kind of what we're seeing, but no real interaction like Shotgun said.
All right. See if we can pull up the next one.
Gary had another semi-question. Will Drevno's presence on the staff somehow help the O-line?
I don't think it can hurt. Certainly, I think there's been some moments where they could have used a little bit more, been a little tougher, and I think Tim Drevno can kind of bring that. Being under Jim Harbaugh for that many years, I don't think it's going to hurt.
But you were the biggest
I think I know you're going.
critic of too many cooks in the kitchen last year, so
that could be an issue.
But like right now, we're not really seeing the.
How did James Craig, when they brought in a second offensive lineman, how'd that work out?
Well, that was utter chaos. Like that was not. They're not bringing. Drevno's not coming in to coach the offensive line, but.
That's what we think.
Wink, wink. As of now, just kidding. I don't know anything, but.
So maybe I guess Shotgun's got a point. Maybe it does hurt. I don't think it's going to. I don't think he's involved in it as much, but I think he can do some stuff on the fringe to kind of make things a little bit better. So.
I think the key is how his presence helps is that if he doesn't get involved in that way, he doesn't become a distraction to the offensive line. They're going to start hearing voices in both ears.
Yeah, agreed. Let's go to Randy, shall we? Maybe.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Randy.
Randy says, who do you think the captains will be? I'm guessing Cam Smith, Toa, Iman, and whoever the starting QB is.
Interesting. He's got a tie on. Nice, Randy. I'm going to come on everyone's pictures.
I was like...
Well, it's a new thing.
You can see it now, so you're...
Definitely a Janae Harris is going to be a captain.
Really?
So Cam and a Janae, you would say, okay.
Those would be my two defensive captains.
Offense, do you think Toa, Lobanon, probably?
I think Toa's a lock for offense. Maybe the only offensive captain.
He's got to be... He's a lock on paper, but he's got to be more of a vocal guy. He's got to take on that leadership role to become the captain. And he said it last year, when they had that issue. They needed somebody to be the voice in that locker room, and they did not have it. I think he's got to take that next step in his game, as to be a leader, to be that captain as well.
If Jack Sears wins it or JT Daniels, I don't see them being captains, but I could see Fink being a captain, potentially.
Who do you think's going to go to the media day? Because that's really early. That's like July 24th.
Like Cam.
It's going to be Cam, and then it's probably going to be Toa.
It might be Toa, yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because then is he kind of already pushed into that leadership role a little bit?
Yeah.
Or do you take a wide receiver? He's a little more flashy.
It should be Tyler Vaughns, obviously. Just kidding.
Gotta get the Tyler Vaughns love in.
Yeah.
But no Iman for captain. No?
I don't know.
I feel like Malik is my dark horse for captain.
I just think Janae's the guy that the coaches always talk about. They wish they had 11 Janae's and everything, and all the players look up to Janae, so I think he's for sure. And just the fact that Cam was a captain last year, usually you don't get displaced as a captain.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great
Unless
point.
you Josh Shot,
Or in basketball, if you run by and hit somebody below the weight.
Yeah.
So.
Michael says, makes a good point. He watched Sam throw 3 picks his first day of camp. So...
where, like for his NFL team, is he talking about?
No, he's talking about apparently during Sam's first fall camp practice, he threw 3 interceptions. Do we remember that
I don't
correctly?
remember that.
Michael, cite your sources. Show us the
no,
receipt.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not right. It very well could be. I do remember Ricky Town throwing 5 interceptions and 8 throws at a summer workout. But
Oh,
And
yeah.
then 3 interceptions in a fall camp practice, like his last fall camp practice.
I
maybe?
think so.
2 of them
I
to
don't
Jalen
remember
Jones.
Sam doing that. I mean, he may well have, but
But also, this isn't Matt Fink's first camp either.
That
Yeah.
wasn't Darnold's first camp.
That's what you just said.
Oh.
First day of camp.
Whatever.
Did he mean this past camp?
I don't know. People and their vague questions, guys. Okay. Let's go
That wasn't
to...
really a question.
Yeah, it was
Statement.
more of a statement. There's a lot of those that I have to sort through. Tester Tor says, so clearly Ryan has a favorite player on the team, Tyler Vaughns.
No doubt.
what say you? No.
What is Keely Shotgun's favorite player? Well, what do you mean by favorite? Like favorite interview?
Yeah, there's a lot of different favorites. Like I mean, I like Tyler a lot, obviously, but he was just someone that I was on from like the very beginning. Like he's going to be
called it.
really good. And when Keyshawn Johnson told me he wasn't, and I was like, I think he is. So then it's kind of like now I just had to like keep talking about it.
If you go to the first Facebook Live you and I did right before the first fall camp practice, someone asked us a breakout player, and you were like Tyler Vaughns, and I turned to you and I was like, really? And you were like, yeah, of course, and of course you were right. So there you go.
So I got to ride that pony as long as it'll go.
You should.
What about you guys?
Thinking hard over here.
I don't know. I mean, Wole's always a joy to talk to.
He likes you. Willie's a shotgun fan, I think.
I've never really talked to Wooly.
He's great. I just lost the other man in my mind.
We got some work going on here.
Wow.
So our studio, and just so you know how the sausage is made, our studio is in basically a storage, like there's offices, but there's storage units around. So sometimes people are loading crap and it can get loud. So hopefully you can't hear that too loud.
Toy Luminon's another guy that I love talking to.
Yeah,
it's
he's
just,
super nice.
It's the guys that I have relationships with that I've had for 4 or 5 years now. I've seen them grow up in high school and stuff. You know, Iman Marshall's always been one of my favorites since the first time when he was going up against Marvell Tell, actually, Crespi, Long Beach Poly. And I said, what's it like going up against, another guy that's highly rated and everything? I'm better. He basically said, I'm better than them all. He said, I love it. I just want to show that I'm better than them all. And since then, I was like, I like this kid. I like that attitude, especially from a cornerback. I know people have freaked out about his penalties and stuff, and I still get tweets asking how many pass interferences.
He went after them. I was in the mentions.
So I went through and charted all the penalties from last year. The special teams penalties, mind blowing when you actually chart all of them. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but how many pass interference penalties do you think Iman Marshall had? Because everyone claims that he gets them all the time. You guesses, guys?
4.
A total or per game?
No.
Not per game.
That's what. Well, I'm saying that because in the thread I was mentioned it, someone said Biggie must have gotten 3 PIs per game, and it's like, really? Do you think he really got whatever? People are haters, but
It's probably like 6 or something for the year. Or I don't know.
I'm gonna say 5.
So for the
No,
year,
I'm gonna say 4 because he was injured for like 4 games.
So for the year, I think he was out for 3 or 4 games. So he played like 10 games. He had 3 pass interferences.
All right.
It's an illusion.
Yeah.
People tend
I think
to
Jack Jones had 3 as well.
combine Jack Jones and Iman as one player and be like, oh, so many penalties.
Keely, what about you? That's a favorite?
I
I throw a Jenny in there. I like Dominic Davis. I mean, there's a lot of dudes there's likable guys that are.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Sam Darnold was terrific as a quarterback.
Yeah, if we're going pass players, Hawkins was really fun to talk to all the time. Sewell was funny. Juju and Adoree.
Adoree's obviously.
Man, and I talked to Adoree this weekend, and you just realize how much USC misses Adoree. And he was like, I miss USC too. So
That's nice.
it was fun. Yeah.
We'll have that interview at some point.
It's coming. I have a lot of.
I did not.
I detected shade in your tone.
Wow. I was just trying to give you props so you can play it up.
Yeah, it's coming out. Well, someone asked me a question about it, and we'll get into it later. Anthony says, who would you guess replaces Hawkins at one of the safety positions?
So right now, you got Bubba Bolden, you got C.J. Pollard, and you got Keely Ross all kind of vying for that spot. What they do with Keely Ross might kind of determine that position, I think. If they use him more in that nickel, I think he's a guy they want on the field this year. I think he's made enough plays in practices and stuff. I think he's got the playbook down in every way. He's the guy calling out all kinds of stuff, in practice, similar to what Hawkins would do. So I think it's where they decide to use him and how they decide to rotate players. I think all 3 of those guys could be in the rotation there, along with Marvell Tell at the other safety spot. Marvell Tell's got to step up and basically take that Chris Hawkins role of teaching the other guys. And he said, that's one of the things that he's focused on this spring is becoming, that leader at the back end that can, point out everything to every player like Chris Hawkins was, and he's kind of take that spot. But the other spot, I think it's a rotation of those 3 guys. I think all 3 of them can get on the field. I think they like C.J. Pollard's, his mind, the way he can decipher things. I think they like Bubba Bolden's athleticism and the fact that he's a hard hitter. And then Keely Ross has just been making plays, for the last year or so. I think they got to get him on the field somewhere.
Don't sleep on Talanoa Hufanga. We'll see. I think it'll be hard for him to get into that, but he's a dude that's going to be pushing.
Are you claiming him? Is this a Ryan prediction, official TM?
No, I don't. I mean, I think it'd be hard. There's too many guys in front of. Like I talked to C.J. Pollard on Thursday. He's fired up. He was right. I talked to him after the Cotton Bowl too. Guys like I think they're gonna all be in the mix, but Hufanga is gonna he's someone that has impressed people already. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
To give you an idea, people gave their guesses of how many PIs. Someone said 12, and Tester Troy said 10. So people are crazy.
Maybe in his career, but I don't even think that was true.
Glenn says, only having one fullback last year and none currently, does SC use more 2 and 3 tight end sets to get more physical at the point of attack this year? Is his comment showing?
No, it's not. I'll try. I can try to find
Okay.
it. Oh, I think you got it now. Yeah. Okay.
Is it there?
Yep. I was looking on my screen.
Maybe if they want to go to jumbo packages, I think you have to use tight ends because we'll see what they do with Ruben Peters. Maybe he's just being used as a linebacker now for depth. We'll see once they get all those freshmen in. If he kicks back over the offensive side, I feel like because there's very limited plays that the fullback is in, that he's probably got all those down. So maybe they're just using him as a depth position right now. He's made some plays, though. So that's his natural position. That's what he played in high school. As a linebacker, inside linebacker. He played that his first year at USC, as well as being on special teams. So, maybe that's permanent. We'll see. But if they want to try to get more guys, more blockers in there, besides 2 and 3 tight end sets, which they could use, you might see 6 offensive linemen. They used that some with Chuma Adoga 2 years ago, using him at the tight end spot. He did it once or twice last year. I'd have to look through my notes.
He did in the Ohio State game.
Did they? So you're using multiple guys. So maybe they do that a little bit more than they have in the past. So
maybe choose some 2-back sets. Don't see a lot of it. They're not very deep at running back now, but that's a potential thing too.
Tyler has an interesting question. He says, who would you say is going to have a make it or break it spring year for USC?
I think it's a Matt Fink is make or break it for him because he's got to take control of the job right now. I think if he doesn't take control of the job now, that's not good for his chances of winning the position. If he takes control of it now, that gives him the advantage going into the fall. That makes him the leader, gives him those extra throws because he's getting more percentage of the first team reps going in. But if he doesn't, now he's taking 33% of the first team reps, and they're rotating each day or something like that in the fall to get all 3 of those guys an opportunities. For him, it's make or break spring.
What about Walla Batiku's out, but what about like a Connor Murphy? Like those 2 guys you've kind of wanted to see. Are they going to, we know Batiku's not going to be around, but what about Connor Murphy?
Connor Murphy, talked to him last week. He's moved inside. He's kicked inside. A potential move that's been kind of in the making the entire time in his career. If things didn't work out at outside linebacker, there was always the potential he could move inside. Add some weight, so he's trying to eat 7,000, 8,000 calories a day to gain 10 to 20 pounds. He wants to gain 10 pounds by the end of spring, and if he does that, then he wants to try to put another 10 on by the fall. He's at 260, I believe, is what he said he was at. I can look at my notes in a second, but he's got a guy that he's going to have to play with his hands. He feels like he knows the position well. He knows the defenses, everything. Now he's just got to get in or he knows the techniques. Now he's got to learn the new spot. He said it's a lot faster because you're not waiting to see what the offense does. You're not reading and reacting at that outside linebacker position. At the defensive line position, you're going straight forward. You're attacking. It's more, and he likes that. He said he likes the fact that he's it's a first move. He's getting off the ball quickly and going at an offensive lineman rather than waiting to see what they're doing.
I think for Trayvon Sidney, this is a real make it or break it spring just because he was kind of waiting in the wings with Deontay Burnett at slot, and then he has a little bit of a break before Amon-Ra comes in, so it's kind of his chance to establish, like, hey, I can actually play this position, and I have the potential to be a starter. So I think for him, he really needs to establish that at this point.
Connor Murphy's at 260 pounds right now. I say he's trying to get to 270 in the 6 weeks of spring ball. If not, then definitely by the season. Another guy at that slot position, though, Keyshawn Pai-Young. Pai-Young has had a really good first week. I know he's kind of gets forgotten because he's been injured basically for 2 years. He's in really good spirits right now. I think he's a guy that can continue. He's got really good athleticism. We saw him at the end of the season making some catches in practice on the scout team. You kept going like, who's making that? Oh, because they have the green jerseys on, couldn't see the number. And it's like, oh, it's Pai. I think he had a good first week, and he has the opportunity to work his way in, at least into the rotation at that position with a good spring.
Let's go to Gerald, who says, how different...
Oh, there it is.
There's a delay.
Okay.
How different is the RB drills compared to D-Land?
I mean, there's not a lot of running backs. It's not the same. I think we're not gonna know about that more until the fall. To be honest, there's just not enough bodies there. They're not really close to us when they're doing most of the stuff. They're kind of working with the quarterbacks and stuff sometimes, catching passes. I don't know. Do you have any different thoughts, Shotgun, or just?
They're very focused because there's only one true running back there. So
But I looked a little bit more healthy, though. He got more work in towards the latter half.
I think he'll be back after spring break, if I
think so, too.
heard correctly.
Yeah.
But we haven't even really seen that many like drills because of
No.
they weren't even in full pads yet. So we'll see.
So
It's
that's
tough.
one of those positions where full pads changes things.
Daniel, with some interesting capitalization, says, "Do you think that EA could steal John Houston's job?"
I think we talked about this a little bit already. I don't.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm
PG
reading.
being Porter.
Oh, right. My bad.
Yeah.
I think John Houston would have to get injured. I think that he played really well. Now I think EA can sub in, and I think he's a guy that they're going to want to try to get some reps. We'll see if they can get to him more reps than they did Levi Jones. Levi Jones, another guy who I really thought should get 5 plays a game on defense, which they didn't do. He can do some different things maybe than John Houston. You can put him on the edge a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I thought they should have done that. We'll see if they do the same thing with EA. Or, it's possible he can beat him out, but it's going to be tough as a true freshman arriving in the fall.
Yeah. I think Houston's now he's 228 or got up to 235 or something. He's definitely bigger.
He doesn't
than
look
he
like
was.
it though, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So
Carries it well.
he does. Gerald says, "Do you think Callaway feels like his job is being threatened? Can that cause drama?"
I don't think he's feeling like it's threatened. Basically it's like Clay Helton's uncle. If anything, it's like some family, mild family drama or anything. I wouldn't think.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like who gets the turkey leg kind of thing. I don't. I mean, yeah. They go back a long way. So I don't feel he's feeling threatened there.
Gary says, "Who will return punts this season?"
I'm gonna guess Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I talked to him at the opening. He said that's what he wants to do,
Yeah.
but
I think
we'll
Elijah
see.
Griffin could also be in that competition, but
Sure.
I'm just going to assume that Jenny holds on to it.
I mean, Shotgun doesn't say a lot of smart things, but that's very smart. Like, why would you just kidding?
The dagger.
If you have to ask a question like, well, what were they doing last year, and that's still an option, then they're going to do it this year. So
I think that's the
usually-
reoccurring theme in our
Yeah.
Facebook Lives. Nothing changes.
No, I mean not just Facebook Live, and just that's what happens at the USC football.
Well,
team.
yeah, that we say to questions.
Yes.
Let's
To
see.
reference back to earlier, Michael corrected his statement. He said gave us a more clear standing of his statement. He said last camp, the Sam Darnold threw 3 interceptions on first day.
Oh, did he? So there was maybe his first fall camp. Maybe Darnold didn't throw a pick at all or something, and that was what people were talking about. Oh yeah, I think I remember that. And the first day of camp, he threw 3 picks, and we were kind of joke tweets.
Has
about
he
it and stuff.
regressed? Okay.
Turns
Maybe.
out he did. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to get into that debate.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's
Oh my
get to Alejandro. If it pops up, let me know.
Yeah.
Does JT make it by summer workouts or fall? His class schedule is the real question, right?
Yeah.
Depends on when he finishes.
It just seems like going to be maybe the end of summer workouts. But I don't think he can take any summer courses at USC. I think he's going to start fall camp where all the other guys will have graduated in June and taking courses already.
He was also at the opening.
Yeah.
It was kind of a little USC camp there. I mean, you had Ajene,
Thanks
you
to
had
Robbie
CJ
Collins.
Pollard, you had Pi Young, you had Adoree, you had Curtis Conway, Willie McGinnis, JT Daniels, Amon-Ra.
Yep.
And then, working for the company that puts on the opening, you have Robbie Collins and Alex Wood,
Who were
former
former.
walk-ons at USC. So they help make sure that USC is represented well when it comes to LA.
And I missed a good time.
You did. It was a party.
But
For
we were out there in force though with the USCfootball.com
We're-
team.
Is up.
for
Party,
9 million
there's a
hours.
party.
Yeah. I also talked to Liam Douglas, who said that they move in. Apparently, June 10th is when they move in. So that's.
Yeah, and then I think class starts soon after that, the first or the
yeah.
second summer or whatever
So,
term is.
June 17th, we'll probably have an idea of which freshmen are on campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to James because we were talking about the opening. I don't know if it's going to go live. Is it? Can anyone see it?
Is the question.
Okay. James says, "Hey Keely, how was interviewing Adoree again? Going pro. Any special notes about the time you spent with him? It was really nice he was like, "Did you see how Juju's doing so well? Have you seen it?" I was like, "Yeah, Juju's doing well." And I was telling him how like we kind of missed the good interviews that Juju and Adoree used to give. But he was saying that he tried his best to keep up with USC during the season, but he kept falling asleep. He was like, "I tried really hard, but double overtime for Texas, I fell asleep, and I had a game the next day." But he was just saying it was really surreal being back at the opening because he remembers playing there, and then he's just coming off his rookie season in the NFL, and so he was saying that time has just gone by fast for him, and it's just so surreal that he's reaching his dreams of being in the NFL. And so he's just a really humble, gracious guy, and it was really fun to talk to him. So that interview will be up soon.
Nice.
Yep.
What?
What?
Our buddy Saman, what did
He when you said Shotgun doesn't say smart things, he said OMG Ryan.
Oh, okay. I put that up there for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Saman.
Let's see. Gerald, frequent commenter, says, "How's Rector doing? I see him as one of the most underrated players at SC." Christian Rector.
Didn't really see much of him out of the first.
He was getting subbed in for that tackle position for Malik Dorton for the first team, but we didn't see a lot of him.
Yeah.
It seemed like a light week for him. Like,
Yeah, it did. So maybe
He wasn't-
injured? No.
Yeah. For whatever reason, he wasn't someone that was standing out. So we'll kind of watch him this. I think we'll know a lot more after this first week of spring break too. The
Yeah.
spring break thing.
I mean, the day that I paid attention to the one-on-ones when the defensive line just dominated the offensive line, Dan disagreed with me. Dan disagreed.
Okay, I was listening to the podcast, and Dan indirectly shaded us because Dan threw some shade because he was like, "I was closer to the drills, and I had a different perspective. Some people were farther away and thought the D-line did better," and I was like, "Excuse me."
I mean, I just watched the starting defensive line just run by offensive linemen. Dan tried to say, well, they were getting deeper than the quarterback would be. I'm like, they literally ran by them. It was like one move, gone. Justin D just got thrown to the ground a couple times.
Tufele just threw
Yeah,
one.
five-star versus five-star. I mean, and that's, backup versus backup there. When the starters were going, it was really no question. I think Chuma Adoga got beat by Kanai Mwaga. Like, that shouldn't happen ever.
Yeah.
Like, a true freshman in his second or third practice shouldn't be beating your
And he's
potential
small.
All-American tackle.
Compared to-
He's just straight speed off the edge, and that's what he does. But the fact that he was able to beat him, like, that shouldn't happen. The offense line has to be better than that, and that's the issue going forward. The offense line needs to be better this year. If they don't, then this year's going to be a wash regardless. And Rector was one of those guys I pointed out that he went right by one of the freshman linemen. So, we'll see how they progress. The defense always leads early. That's
True.
a common theme in any camp setting. The defense usually is ahead of the offense going in the first week. Usually about halfway through the second week is when you see the kind of the flip. The offense starts to find its groove a little bit more.
And that's what Helton said after his presser. He said, "I think you guys can tell that we're at the point where the defense is now leading." So that's where we're at. Tom says, "Shotgun, how many of Big East PIs led to opponent scores? Seems like the majority led to scores. Do you have that stat?"
I don't have that stuff off the top of my head. I mean, he had one holding where Arcega Whiteside scored a touchdown on, but that wasn't one of his PIs. PI is a 15-yard penalty. It's not the NFL where it can be a 60-yard penalty. You looked at the Steelers. I think they were the team that had the most yardage on PIs this year. They had like 400 or 500 yards maybe. Or maybe not that much. But just because they would have huge plays with either Juju or Antonio Brown being able to get big chunks on PIs down the field. Sometimes the PI is a smart play. The holdings are usually the more of an issue for USC DBs. Those are the ones where you're like, just play the ball, give it an opportunity, versus you get a PI on a play where the guy might have a touchdown catch or something like that. Usually the PIs are the ones saving the touchdown catches actually.
I don't know if this comment is showing. Is Anthony's comment showing?
Let me see.
Anthony says, "Will Trayvon Sidney get a shot at punt returns this season?" He is in the rotation of guys who get reps catching punts. There's a lot of guys who do that, but it tends to just be a
And
JNA.
the fact that he was doing it last year and didn't get in, to get into that role. They put Tyler Vaughn's out there for a couple. The fact that they didn't use him last year would lend me to believe that they're probably not going to use him this year. If someone else comes in, it's going to be like a new guy that just wows them. And
Amon-Ra or Elijah Griffin as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shane says, do we have enough depth on the D-line? Who would you pencil in on the 2 deep at each position at the defensive line?
Can you bring back up the chart?
I'll bring up my chart.
On the 2 deep, like right now, I would say nose tackle is Brandon Peely. Porter Gustin's on your rush. Malik Dorton or Christian Dorton at defensive tackle. Christian Rector, sorry. At the defensive tackle spot, I think that's one of the ones where it's still up to debate, and it kind of depends on what alignment they're using, because Christian Rector will be used more as a defensive end rather than tackle. The Sam is one of the position I'm most interested in, because who's going to replace Uchenna Nwosu? Jordan Iosefa is, probably got the lead spot, but I don't think he's necessarily as big as Uchenna. I think they would like to have a bigger player there to kind of hold the edge a little bit better. The other guy that's going to kind of mix in potentially at one of those D tackle spots, Caleb Trimbley. He had a couple, show out plays to begin with. Where is Jay Tafele? Does he pop into that rotation now? Does he make a big jump his second year? And then also Liam Jimmons is a guy that was getting some playing time before he was bumped by a Washington State fan and sent someone sprawling. That really basically curtailed his play time, because he was actually getting in the rotation, being used some, and then after that happened, he was suspended for the game, didn't really get back in the rotation the same way. Does Connor Murphy fit in there? Question marks there. So if Connor Murphy puts on some weight, starts showing some things, then maybe he gets in that mix. The defensive tackles are the bigger issue right now, the bigger battle at least. The Sam is the bigger issue. Defensive tackle, the tackles are the bigger battle. That's it, right. And Porter Gustin's going to be Porter Gustin for rushing, as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, I think because Rector played a lot last year, they'll find a way to get him in. I don't think he's going to be anyone's backup. He'll at least be in the rotation. So they might change the alignment and stuff a little bit too, just to make sure he's in there too.
And they could. He could default back to what he started as last year, which is a third down specialist. Comes in, rushes the passer. He was doing that well. That's what he was doing early in the season before Porter Gustin got hurt. Then when Porter Gustin got hurt, he kind of moved to that rush in defensive end position with his hand on the ground. And there were some issues there against the read option and stuff like that at Notre Dame. And that kind of prompted the change for Jordan Iosefa. So we'll see how they use him, if he can improve, reading, those option attacks and stuff off the edge. Then maybe he gets in the mix at one of those outside linebacker positions at the same time.
Did you press that or did I press that?
I didn't press that.
I thought you did. I heard a click. Okay.
I don't think so.
Oh.
But did you want this one up or no?
Yes, but I think you did it. Tester Troy says, Keely and Shotgun, how was the opening? Did you get any interviews with potential USC prospects?
Tester, we need your photo up there. Don't be an egg or whatever.
Yeah.
Shadow. The opening was very long.
It was
They changed the format of it for us, so it made it a little bit longer. Better to be able to see more players, but it made the day pretty long. We obviously got some interviews, guys. It's coming.
We got a lot of interviews.
There's a couple already up. Gerard's put his Andre White up. Andre White, basically, he went to the opening in the Bay Area last weekend. He stayed, went to USC practice Tuesday, went to USC practice Thursday, went to the opening on Saturday, and had USC shorts on at the opening. If that tells you anything, I don't know. He's from Pennsylvania, out for a West Coast trip. Maybe he's just enjoying the sunlight in the SC shorts. But I think Gerard's already put that one up. Not sure. I think Chris has already put one of his up as well, Trevino. We were well represented there. Did you put one up?
Yeah, I talked to Brew McCoy. That's a really impressive kid. So I talked to him for a while. He made fun of me for how long I talked to Brew, but he's a good kid, and it was an interesting interview. So
we also have highlights of the running backs, the linebackers, and
O-line,
D-line.
Linebackers, you say that? And then DBs and wide receivers will probably be up today and tomorrow.
And also, just because the 24/7 Sports Network is great on the West Coast here, Greg Biggins, Brandon Huffman, and Blair Angulo have put up a couple of interviews on other guys. So a lot of content for you guys to consume from the opening. And it's great that it worked out that it's spring break this week. So instead of having a content drought this week, we have more stuff for you. Yeah. I also saved a couple interviews. I'll have Iman Marshall coming up probably today, tomorrow, or the next day. I'll have Cam Smith for you guys. So couple things from the team as well. So
Yeah,
I have everything for you guys.
Greg Johnson, Adoree, and Amon-Ra coming up. So
Nice. Okay.
there you go. Lots of
Content
content.
in the pipeline.
Content. Sean says, Drevno, good hire or not?
Sure.
Yeah,
Why not? Not why not. That's a bad answer.
I would say, yeah. I mean, I think he can be helpful. I really would have liked to see them go out and get someone that doesn't have any USC ties. They didn't do that, but Drevno, I think, will bring a sense of toughness. So I think overall it's pretty good.
Yeah, he's good at motivating players. So we'll see how that helps the offense, particularly up front when they're blocking the run game. It's a little nasty.
Tester Troy says, with all the numbers at kicker, how is the kicking battle heating up so far? The interesting thing,
It's not.
special teams is no longer a main portion of practice, highlight of practice right now.
Question is that just the spring,
Yes.
or will that continue in the fall? Because they're doing some different things with special teams as far as when they do special teams, it's not an entire team period. It's a split up period where certain positions are still working on different things. And like I said, there were a ton of penalties on special teams, so they have to correct that. And hopefully that's something they're working on right now with that period.
Yeah. Tyler Castillo says, where does Taylor Katoa rank compared to the incoming linebackers in talent and game IQ?
I still don't think he's full strength. I don't think we saw him in team periods. So still to be determined. We have to see if he can get into that rotation with the guys, which he has to get healthy first before he can do that.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy that made some plays last year to start spring camp before he got hurt. So I think he's a guy that can surprise some people and actually get in that rotation, maybe over one of those other highly rated guys that are coming in.
Yeah. No, I think he's someone to watch. There's certainly a lot of potential there. So he's one of those guys where you're not maybe talking about now and then, oh, he's playing really well. And you're like, oh, where did that come from?
He could be definitely a guy on special teams too. I mean, you look at guys like Juliana Falanico or Jordan Iasefa, guys that were kind of overlooked in the recruiting classes and came in were immediate impact guys. And I think Taylor Katoa could be another guy that after the knee injury, if he gets back 100%, could be a guy making impact plays either on special teams or, using a little bit different skill set than maybe some of the other inside linebackers. We'll see how they're using.
Hey, real quick, what did you guys think of Hunter Echols' father? Did you see the tweets that he put out there? It was kind of like complaining about that the best players don't play and stuff like that. So it was
Taking
like
Micah Pittman
it was like
out.
it was sort of like that. Michael Pittman Sr. He did that thing. He didn't call out any players, but he said I think three players definitely aren't the best that are starting. I believe the tweet was. I don't have it with me, but
The thing
Is this
that
in the past week?
yeah, it was like yesterday or something, the day before.
Really? I thought it was like last week. But
Oh, was it? Oh,
the
maybe.
thing that
Here, I'll
I
pull it
don't
up.
understand is Hunter was injured, right? It wasn't like,
So maybe it's not necessarily just directed at Hunter.
but if that was my dad, I'd be like, Dad, I'm trying
This
to
was
get
from
on
March
the team."
13th. He said, so this is LC_Eccles. I'm reading all these different articles on USC football about the best
.com.
player plays. That's what
Right.
pissed me off because it's not true. If you've been watching the last two seasons, he didn't put an S there. The best player isn't playing. You have 3 on defense that shouldn't even be on the field. #fight on. And then he followed up someone's comment with, this is about the best player plays. It's bullshit because it's not true. If you believe that I have some land in Beverly Hills for sale, like I said, I'm not going to talk about a player or players, but let's keep it 100. The best players aren't playing.
Not sure I'm following 100%. What, Beverly Hills? What happened? What?
He said, if
He'll
you
sell
believe
you-
that, I'll sell you some land.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's like I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge or something.
I'll buy it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, so we're seeing,
I think that's obviously not directed at his son because he said the last 2 seasons. And maybe that has something to do with the seniority plays at the quarterback position with Sam Darnold, Max Brown, and then also maybe even at the punt returner position or where's another position where we had, or the John Houston. People complain about John Houston early in the season, but you saw John Houston really increase his play. I don't know what 3 positions it would be on defense. I think if he's referring to the spring right now, I know that they're planning to rotate some guys. I think there's going to be some different starters this second week than there were the first week. So maybe it's all to do about nothing.
I have heard, though, from team guys that there is a lot of frustration if you're not a starter. I've heard that the atmosphere is kind of starters versus everybody else. And, like, granted, it's a team, and if you're not starting and you're putting all this work, you're going to be a little unhappy. But I'm just wondering, because I heard that, like, the players won't say anything to the coaches, and maybe the parents are now taking it into their own hands and saying something about it. I don't know. But I have heard that guys are kind of unhappy who aren't starting.
Yeah.
It's a team sport that happens. Can't start everybody.
Yeah.
Can't play everybody. This ain't T-ball.
Well, we'll see. Well, I don't know. Let's see
Yeah.
what happens with that. But I thought that was a curious tweet.
It is.
I've not seen that tweet.
Yeah.
Did he delete it? Or is it still there?
I think it's still there. I
I thought he had a screenshot. Michael says, have you noticed more zone read plays with two dual threat QBs?
You've seen some, actually. You've seen some, but seems similar to what there was previously. I mean, obviously, they can't run because as soon as the defender gets there, they just blow the whistle and stop the play. So it's not like it's a long run to see if they can break some tackles or something. So you've seen some, but I don't think it's much different.
Gerard just has a very interesting question over here. He says, hi there. When USC had not hired a running backs coach, I kept wondering if they were waiting for Todd McNair to win his lawsuit and bring him back. When he wins, is there a place for him on the staff, perhaps consultant? And if he comes in, can that be a driver to bring back Reggie Bush into the fold?
All right. Hells no. They're not bringing him back. I don't think it'll have anything to do with Reggie Bush coming back. I think there's still some potential for Reggie Bush coming back, but it's not going to be with Todd McNair. USC's not going to look good. So the McNair lawsuit starts April 18th. We'll have a bunch of coverage for that. It's not going to make USC look good if McNair is able to just destroy the NCAA, because then people are like, well, why the heck didn't USC fight this? So USC decided not to fight it. Todd McNair is. If Todd McNair wins, kind of going away, what like a lot of people think, I don't think it reflects well on USC. So there's not going to be a relationship between Todd McNair and USC, in my opinion.
Plus, you're not going to hire back a coach that's been out of the game for how long?
Yeah.
Like he's basically going to have to restart his career if he wants to continue, or maybe he gets enough of a settlement. He's like, I'll just retire now.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking like a potential like 8-figure kind of thing. So probably be all right.
I'd take my money and go to an island.
Yeah.
Not coaching anymore.
Hey, some
We
people
should
just
probably.
like to help
How many
kids.
do we got? We should probably wrap it up.
We're
here
almost
pretty
done.
soon. Yeah.
Almost done. Glenn says, does SC try to utilize their impending depth at linebacker and D-line and get more 3-3-5 defensive packages instead of their 4-2-5 base nickel that they prefer?
No. I don't think they're more into the 3-3-5. I mean, they showed some looks of 3-3-5 where they would push Uchenna Nwosu back into the linebacker spot versus on the line of scrimmage. But most of the time when they did that, they blitzed from one spot or another with that. So they were just using that for a different blitz package last year than that. I think you'll see more rotation possibly on that defensive line, but I don't think you're going to see many different exotic looks in that way of a 3-3-5 defense or something. I know Clancy does some different things. Clancy will move. He moved Keely Ross into the linebacker position. He used Matt Lopes in that linebacker position too against Washington State. So they'll do some different things. They'll play some dime and stuff against some passing teams, but I don't think he'll really go away from their basic base defense that they normally have.
Tester Troy wants to know who's the tallest receiver on the team.
Randall Grimes, 6'5".
He's pretty tall.
How tall is Pittman?
Pittman's pretty. It's like
6'4"?
4-ish, I
I think he's 6'5" too. I think they're both listed at 6'5".
But I think Grimes might have him by a little bit.
Both of them, or at least Grimes, has gone up and made some plays up above the shoulders early in camp. Pittman obviously did that against Stanford, some big catches in that championship game. So they've got plenty of targets. And Tyler Vaughn's obviously is one of the best at high pointing the ball and catching the ball away from his body. So they've got some guys that can help out these young quarterbacks this year. Throw it in the area and I'll go get it. That type of thing. You got some Calvin Johnson type bodies out there.
Tester also wants to know if we've seen anything under center.
We've seen the football under the center. Does that count?
It starts there. It doesn't necessarily get.
I mean,
transfer.
Joel Lobanon is basically not doing anything during the spring, so it's basically been Brett Nealon and Justin Dedich. Justin Dedich has had his highlights and his low spots at the same time, which you expect out of a freshman. The fact that he's had some highlights is a positive development. I think he's going to be really good at USC, and the fact that he's already competing and having a couple of reps where he's just stonewalling some guys that are bigger than him, and he really uses his leverage really well and pass blocking things. Something like a guy like Elijah Vera Tucker has to do a little bit better. He gets too tall. Adidas knows how to stay low and drive really well and run blocking and stuff. So he's looked good and shown some impressive flashes in the first week. But, we're not really going to learn much about that center position until Toa's actually back and snapping and seeing how those snaps are, and then seeing if there's an issue there or if someone else gets injured, if they try to move him and try to move one of those young guys in.
Yeah. Oh, the Gary question just went away.
I'm on delay, so I can't tell. Thank you. Gary says, do any of you see Pac-12 expansion anytime soon? If so, which teams might come into the fold?
No, I don't see it.
Ryan would prefer Pac-12.
Pac-11.
Yeah. USC leaving is better than I just don't think they're not in a good spot financially, and unless you were adding some like a Texas and Oklahoma, you're not going to be helping the bottom line. They need to be able to get more money to the schools. The Pac-12 network is so terrible. They make no money off it. No one watches it. It's bad right now. So, and their Tier 1 TV deal, that's not going away until 2024. So, I mean, you got 6 more years of you're just going to be falling behind. I don't think they're in a position to expand at this point. It would have to be some kind of crazy merger with the Big 12. Like, it would have to be something bigger than the Pac-12 for this to happen. This isn't going to be Larry Scott going, yeah, let's go out and add Fresno State and BYU or something like that. That's not happening.
Yeah, the teams that would help the Pac-12, they're not going to be enticing right now. What does the Pac-12 have to offer that other conferences aren't giving them right now? They're making the least amount of money, I think, of any of the Power 5 conferences. So you can go out and you can get a Boise State or a BYU or Grand Canyon or one of these smaller schools, but how does that help the conference? Those are the only schools that are actually going to be enticed by, Pac-12, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Texas and Oklahoma, they're like...
It doesn't help the Pac-12.
The Texas and Oklahoma, they're like, the Big 12's fine. It's not terrible like you guys are, so why would we come there? We got our own network here in Texas. Why would we come to the Pac-12 network?
Yeah.
Pac-12. Ooh, then we could get a Austin regional network that I can't watch.
Oh, my gosh. So salty. And that concludes our questions.
Sweet. Nice. Yeah, cool. Well, it kind of worked. It was a little bit of delay, but we got, we could see people's faces up there. We could see their questions. I like that. We're slowly coming along. So this is brand new software, like I said last week. Seemed to be working pretty well. We'll keep building on it. There's a lot of more stuff we can do. We can put a green screen and have Shotgun and Keely like on some kind of background thing. So we'll slowly, we'll put you at the beach or something. The beach is right there. So we'll slowly add more features and stuff.
I've been to the beach like 12 times in my 9 years at California, 8 years, whatever.
And one of them was at my request, I think.
That's true.
Nice.
20th anniversary party.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
Some of us work more than go to the beach. Some of us go play volleyball.
I played volleyball last night.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Our league started, but it got dark at like 7:15. We were playing in the dark for a little while. It was kind of a little hard.
Win? That's the important question.
We won, yeah.
Nice job.
Then you had to get home and watch that USC basketball, right?
I was listening on the radio on the way back from the beach, and it sounded like tin cans and string. Like, that's maybe a reference you don't get either. It was awful. Like, the commercial sounded fine, but then the actual broadcast with Jordan and Chris, right? They do it. Yeah. I mean, something was wrong. Like, and it was on AM 830 instead of 710 because 710 had the Lakers. So I put an AM 830, and so the commercial sounded fine. So it wasn't it wasn't like the station. It was something to do with getting their feed. It just sounded awful. So
I feel like you think we live under a rock. I feel like tin cans and string is a very normal reference.
But when would you have seen that? Like, that's something I saw as a kid.
We watch movies
and cartoons.
Okay, I did that as a kid. Like, we actually tried that stuff.
Well, I still watch more cartoons than I do movies. So.
Huh.
All right.
Well, there you have it.
If it's in a cartoon, I'll know.
Sweet. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of spring break, everybody. I know you're probably not on spring break, but if you're a student, you are.
I'm about to hit up that spring break.
Oh, whatever.
Hit it up. Shotgun's taking off. Where are you going?
To Savannah and Charleston and Columbia, South Carolina, to cover some baseball, to look at some wedding venues, do a little bit of everything.
Nice.
Everything. Go say hi to my grandparents in Savannah.
Maybe.
No, actually, they don't live there anymore. Just kidding.
I was gonna stop by.
Oh, okay.
So we'll figure it out. I don't know if we're going to do Wednesdays from now on or Thursday, whatever. But we'll try to keep it consistent. We got to find a right time to. Did we pick a time? We didn't do that, did we? Okay. We'll pick a time.
So far.
Well, thank you for watching.
Yeah. Thanks everybody.
We appreciate all your interaction.
Yeah, that's great. All the questions and comments and